we'll call the meeting to order. It's 9 a.m. First, I'd like to certification of the opening meeting law requirements.
Yes, we have posted and notified.
All right. Third on the list is adoption of the agenda. I need the motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Repeat that motion by Doc, second by Riley.
Repeat that motion by Doc, second by Riley.
All those in favor?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Okay, adoption of the April 28th, 2022 minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Riley, second by
Lori?
Lori.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Hear none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Looks like we're going to move into the museum update.
Like I said last time, we keep this on the agenda in case Nancy is here to make an update. She doesn't have a written update or an in-person update, so we can move on to the educator reports.
Just as a quick note, I'm not sure that we can hear the folks on, so it looks like they're unmuted, but not hearing.
Can we get somebody from the studio to see if they can, because it's very soft when they talk. Yes, Kevin?
And I can't see inside the boardroom from
We
where
can't
I'm
hear
sitting.
him.
Maybe that's it.
Because he turned it down last night.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yes, we have it. Some people were missing last time, so introductions are in order. That's right.
Nope, doesn't look like that's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 minute, we're going to get the studio to help us.
Yeah, and we also need to see into the boardroom.
Oh,
I can't see
okay.
the other board members in there like I normally can.
We're all here, trust us.
It was good to see you guys, though. Still good to see all the stuff.
They're working on it, Kevin. They're working on it, Kevin.
I joined from Clark County that time. I couldn't hear or see anything, so I just talked and it was kind of fun.
It was kind of powerful.
Watch you talk to yourself.
So we'll go around the room again with introductions, and we'll start with A for Adam.
Adam Trunzo, Youth and Families Educator, UW Extension.
I'm Melissa Kono. I am the Community Development Educator.
Andrea Ripley Schleiss, 4-H Program Educator for Trempealeau and Jackson County.
Why don't we go back up to the screen and have Kevin?
Kevin Adams, County Board Member Representative, District 7.
Okay.
Richard.
And Jacob is up there?
Oh, somebody else still there. Oh, I'm sorry, I want to jump in there.
Jacob?
Yep. Hello, my name is Jacob Kluza. I'm the Horticulture Educator for Jackson County.
And I think that's one of his old gardens, in case you wonder if he actually has any street cred.
Yes,
Yeah.
those are
A
my
little
flowers.
mature.
Aw, they're neat.
Okay, Richard Sasha, District 3.
Riley Foltz, District 11.
Lori Severson, District 4.
Pat Malone, I am the Area Extension Director we're actually in Area 9, and that includes Pepin, Buffalo, Jackson, and Trempealeau counties.
Andy Todd, District 5.
Hi, I'm April. I'm the Foodwise Coordinator for Jackson and Trempealeau County.
I'm Sandy Woody for Foodwise, mostly Trempealeau County and Jackson when I need to be.
This is Monica Kamarowski Lopez, and I'm the new 4-H coordinator for Trempealeau County.
All right, we're going to go with educator. Thank you. We're going to go with educator reports. And who step up?
Who wants to
Who wants to start?
Okay.
All right, so again, Adam Trunzo. So I'm kind of split appointment between youth that aren't 4-H necessarily and family education, specifically kind of youth, families, parenting, that sort of thing. and you have my report in your binders as well, if you want to take a look. Monica and I just completed academic success and post-secondary pathways education sessions for Latino students down in Arcadia to support them and support the schools in reaching out to them. It helps kind of the schools out with any sort of behavioral or dropout issues or attaining graduation, and it helps the families to kind of better understand the educational system. We've been planning an extension summer science day camp in July. We had a maximum of about 60 youth that could enroll. The sign-up started about 2 weeks ago, and we're at 75. So we're at a 15-person wait list, and they kind of keep asking every day. So it's a very popular program for folks in the county. I'm also teaching and coordinating direct STEM education programs. That's kind of the bulk of my youth education stuff. So you can see there, Whitehall After School, all of the Whitehall 4th grade classes. I taught there all last week, then I'm going back on Wednesday. The Arcadia After School program, Ettrick Elementary, GET, the 5th grade students, I'm going down next Monday to do some kind of trout stream environmental education. This Friday, I'm heading out to the Blair Taylor School District to teach about robotics to some of their middle schoolers. And then all throughout the summer, there's a summer reading program at all the local libraries. So I'll be bringing a lot of my programs out there. We're doing composting programs, we're doing robotics, we're doing chemical reactions, we're doing all sorts of different things. So it's kind of a staple of their programs. We're doing a nature walk down in Galesville. So lots of different things there. Any questions about kind of the youth education side before I go into some of the family education things?
I just heard good things.
Thanks. For family education, I did a Dad and Me program at the Blair Taylor Head Start, which within extension, having a father as a family educator is fairly rare. So it's just kind of nice to connect in that way with some of the dads in the county. And teaching reentry skills, stress management, parenting classes for the Trempealeau County Jail weekly. So kind of helping people when they get out, they have no plans. So to kind of hang out in Whitehall or, just try to get somewhere. So helping them to make a plan, connect with people on the outside, kind of alleviates a lot of stresses for the community as well as for the people involved. And then diversion agreement educational meetings. So Wayne Apitchka will send folks who have been diverted out of going to jail because they're either first-time offenses or low-level offenses. And I kind of work with dealing with stress, conflict resolution, maybe some budgeting items that they kind of identify and help make sure that they kind of get to where they're going in conjunction with that. And then in a lot of my work in family
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, just a quick question. Do they have a jobs program at all, or anything that you're involved with that?
For the jail specifically?
Yeah.
They tend to have a Huber
officer,
but they haven't been offering Huber kind of as they've eased out of COVID restrictions.
Right.
So a lot of times we'll connect with like Ashley or Whitehall Specialties or International Ingredients here in town. There's several other, all the way out to like DNS in Black River, folks who we've reached out to, or I reached out to personally, to say, hey, we have these people coming out, some of them may have records, and working with them to figure out kind of what incentives there are for them to hire and to make sure that they can go straight into the workforce and kind of get back on their feet.
Super good idea.
That's good, yeah. The Dad and Me, I just want to know when the next one is.
So
if you're doing more scheduled out with like that, because we need to let people know, because to me, fathers need to be more involved in their kids' lives. I'm trying to do that personally in my family, trying to be the focal point of helping all the kids and being the father for them, and I think that's a great program. I just want to get it out to the public. When's the next ones are going to be?
Yeah, so I was invited to the Blair Taylor Head Start because they have like various outreach programs. So it would be specifically for those 3 or 4-year-old parents of 3 or 4-year-olds. What I'm thinking about doing though in the fall, and kind of hearing that is important, is doing kind of these similar to this kind of dad conversations where we come together, share ideas, share different things like that. Maybe we go fishing, or maybe we kind of go do things. So it's a nice way to get out of the house, connect with other dads, whereas we don't necessarily set up play dates a whole lot or different stuff like that. So it's just kind of a nice thing. So thanks.
Your outdoor adventure skills.
Right. Yeah.
I would certainly be willing to offer up the park, the Champions Riverside Resort,
Nice.
if you ever wanted to come there to do something like that. I truly think it's really, really important.
Absolutely.
Gilbert does his anti-bullying thing there from time to time, so it's kind of a good fit. We could incorporate something like that if that would work for you.
Yeah, and I think that one of the nice things about extension is something like Riley mentioned. It's like, well, yeah, dads need that, and like, but how do you like get dads together necessarily to do that? And extension fills that role pretty well because we're connected with a lot of those people who know of dads. So it's maybe it's a Head Start program, maybe it's Human Services, maybe it's all these different groups that I work with regularly. That when we say, hey, this is going to be a focus, or this is something the board wants to focus on, we can very easily activate a lot of those connections to say, hey, let's all work together on this and make it successful. So, yeah, I really liked it a lot with shooting sports. I used to run the shooting sports program here, and getting a bunch of dads together, teach archery, teach air rifle, different stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Not just the dads, but even the grandfathers.
Yes.
Bring them in because there's so much.
They're important.
They're important as well because that's a father to a son to a grandson. Excuse me. So I want to. If you're going to go down that road, I want to incorporate all of them.
Yep.
Just the wisdom from the older gentleman sitting next to me would know more than I would.
Now
And-
we're old.
And that was actually a key thing. We did have a grandfather at this program, and he was kind of one of the people who stepped up earliest and kind of shared some of their thoughts and got the whole group talking. So that was nice. Thanks. Moving into the building capacity portion, so a lot of, when we look at kind of working with families, things like that, a lot of it has to happen kind of up high to get Human Services, maybe to talk to these groups or that groups, or getting funding for groups who want to do programs. So there's various groups within the county that link key people together to save money, to have better outcomes for folks, and that's a big part of what I do. One is the Alliance for Youth, so we bring in funding from a couple of different areas, and then we distribute funding to groups that are members or just need funding. So like Aliva Strum has a Bigs and Littles walking program, so we're able to help fund that. We're able to help fund kind of a youth peer-run program in Osseo to prevent for like mental health in their school district. Lots of other programs that we've kind of funded through that. We've had, Kevin?
Mr. Chair? I have a question. I don't know if this is considered technically an extension or committee related question. What about the NAMI program, the National Alliance for Mental Illness? Do you know who runs that in this area?
Yeah. Is that okay if I?
Absolutely, please do.
I've had a large part in bringing that group through some strategic planning sessions. It's currently Scott Brown, and he and I we actually put up a display here on Tuesday using kind of Extension Trifold and some of our resources. I'm the treasurer of that group, and we've been working hard to get peer-to-peer groups here and get a lot of information to the schools regarding mental health and some of the things that we can do with that.
I appreciate that because that's needed for not only kids but adults too. I'll be reaching out to you maybe, Mr. Trenzo, to get those contacts. Thank you.
Absolutely. On a similar line, the Resilient and Trauma-Informed Communities is another group here that deals a lot with, they're kind of an umbrella because resiliency and trauma is a very broad topic, but the idea is to work with people all over in every community to kind of build up the resiliency within communities, families. So a lot of that's just kind of understanding what the effects of trauma are on children and trying to reduce those. So let's say criminal justice is involved, and so when they show up at people's houses in the middle of the night, making sure that they consider children, the children that might be involved. And then we work with the schools and the law enforcement to say, hey, let's inform the school that this happened the night before so that they can tell the teachers to be like, hey, if this kid's tired or acting kind of strange, just like be kind to them. So different things like that where we can connect through extension. We also have the Jail to Community Reentry Coalition that I've kind of formed out of whole cloth, and that involves my work specifically with direct education, but it also means that I work with a library here in town so that people can go over there, charge their phones, communicate with people who need rides, use the computers to apply for jobs or get where they need to go, different things like that. Working with the Department of Corrections, working with the jail itself, so that we get more education into the jail so that people aren't just released with a lot of the same issues they had before and go back to some of the same problems they had before. So getting a lot of education to people in that way, whether it's financial education through RCU or human services going in and teaching some different things like that.
Yeah, Adam,
Mm-hmm.
are you working with just the Whitehall Library, or are you working with multiple libraries in the area?
I work with multiple libraries in a lot of different areas, but it's specifically the Whitehall because it's in the community where people are let out of jail into. But we've worked with a lot of libraries for various things in addition to the STEM stuff, for getting information out, different things like that. I have on here the National Alliance Mental Illness Trempealeau chapter. Again, I've done a lot of strategic planning for them over the years to get them kind of moving in the right direction. I know Lori, I think we met at Champions one year when Erica was running it, so.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We just did a little deal there on Saturday.
Nice. And then the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. So if you all don't know it necessarily, it's a CJCC. It's all of the heads of criminal justice in the county. So that's the DA, that's victims advocate, that's the judge, that's the sheriff, every kind of high-level person. We meet every other month, and the general idea is to collaborate and communicate. Because a lot of times you think it's like, oh, they get together a lot and they figure things out, but they don't necessarily, especially where the criminal justice system is generally adversarial, the DA, the prosecutor, the defense representative. So it's nice to get everybody together. And from that, we've been able to have a lot of better outcomes financially for the county. So more people showing up to court dates because we talked about issuing a text reminder program. And before, it just kind of died because it got to one office and they said, maybe not. But because the group got together, advocated for it, now we have more people showing up for essentially free, texting them, right? And that means less rescheduling, less hours for the judge accounted for. So it's just saving a lot of time, and it's better outcomes for the folks because then they're not getting citations and we're not having to chase them down and stuff like that. And then you see your grant funding that we received in the past year through a lot of these collaborations. So a lot of times we think about Eau Claire, La Crosse, Madison, Milwaukee getting a lot of these fundings. One of my core goals and Extension's core goals is bringing the focus to Trempealeau County and our needs and making sure that we're being accounted for. And so that's been a mission of mine in building a lot of the capacity of these groups. So thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I just have a comment. I think you've been a busy little boy.
Yeah.
Looks like you're getting stuff done and making things happen. And as far as the funding part goes, I want to make sure that you know that our place is always free to you if you need
Excellent.
it for anything.
Yeah.
We do have a wonderful cook, so she can actually make food. So, and we'd be happy to donate that and help out. I love that daddy program. I think that would be great. So anything we can do to help, you're doing a great job. That's awesome.
Thanks. I think those collaborations are absolutely critical too. So thank you.
I think what you'll find as we go, acknowledge Kevin.
Yes, Kevin. Thank you.
I also echo what Ms. Severson said. Yeah, he's been very busy with a lot of different things, NAMI, or any other things that he's been involved with. It's good to know that a small county like Trempealeau County has NAMI. I know Winona does, but like I'm saying, because I work with them somewhat because I work here, it's good to have something like that here in Wisconsin. Hopefully, maybe in the future, hopefully one way the Trempealeau County chapter can maybe collaborate more with Winona. States work together. Thanks.
All right, thanks,
Absolutely.
Kevin.
I just wanted to say, as we go over these educator reports, everybody's job is really quite different. And because of the changes in extension over the past years, we still have lots of representation of the various program areas. But Adam and Sandy are actually our only full-time in this county people. So take, consider that as they're doing their reports, so. Thank you, Adam, and
Ask for Melissa's report.
Melissa, may I have your report?
Not sure how I'm gonna follow that, but okay. Thanks, Pat.
I'm going to have to buy you lunch again, aren't I?
I will remind you that the supervisor's evaluation is due soon, and so I'm passing around a report because I'm also with Clark County. I report to another committee there, so I try to streamline that process a little bit. So I have essentially kind of 3 main areas that I program in. Before some changes in extension, I was community development, natural resources, economic development, and I retained that through some changes and mergers, but I still program in most of those areas. So probably my main programming is with local government education. So for example, I was at the county officials workshop last week. Kevin was there, John, Stacy, and Audie. So John did say some of you were taking it online. Are you still doing that?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, good. Because I don't know about Kevin, what you thought, but I felt like that was just the perfect agenda, especially for new people. But even John said he learned a lot. It's very like nuts and bolts. This is Robert's Rules of Order. This is open meetings law. This is running effective meetings, just like the stuff you want and not so much of like the fluff that you get at some of these trainings. So I thought that was a good use of time. Kevin, what did you think?
I absolutely agreed, especially for a new guy. And how to run effective meetings and the laws, basically of effective, especially at the county level, and where you're not shouting at each other. We're Trempealeau County. We're not Washington D.C. So.
Yeah. So I hope you all are able to attend the virtual meeting. So that's a lot of the types of programming I do. I'm doing a training at a clerk's with the League of Municipalities with their city and village clerks. I'm doing like a new clerk training coming up in June. I train election workers, both here in Trempealeau County and Clark County, and then the surrounding area too. In 2020, I had like a statewide training because there was just so much need for new election workers. I'm putting together an election training for school personnel because there's been, especially in Trempealeau County, there's been a lot of new staff members at the school who are in charge of elections, and they're feeling a little lost right now about what paperwork they need to do and reporting. And so I'm working with Carrie Peterson, who was the deputy clerk at the City of Independence. Now she's at the school. So like dual roles, like now she has seen it on both ends. So we're putting together a training for the school personnel in Trempealeau County coming up in June for them to learn about what they need to do for elections. So I did a lot of election training in the month of December, and actually it just felt like I was going to do it in December and then was going to be done, but it just keeps coming. So hopefully I have a little bit of a pause on some of the big ones, because there'll be like 100 workers at a session, which is a lot to manage. And I develop all of that curriculum and then present it and organize it and make sure the Zoom link is working, so it's just kind of a lot. Another piece of work that I've been doing over the years is looking at women in local government and why more women don't run for local office. And so we got asked by Alverno College. Apparently they have a lot of donors there, and they had some money, so they wanted to do this report on women and girls in politics and asked us to focus on the local level because, so much of the time the local level gets kind of washed away. And so a colleague and I interviewed women in rural areas, so here in Trempealeau County, Clark County too, and then I kind of had the swath all the way up to Bayfield and talked to women who were in county government, on town boards, city councils, about their experiences, what made them want to run for office, what their experience was like. And so Alverno just is is set to publish that report next week, so that's kind of exciting. And then we also just sent out through the League of Municipalities a welcoming environment survey that was really geared to people who were new in office and what their experience was. And it's been interesting getting those survey responses back, because a lot of what people are saying is, you know, I wish I would have had more education on Robert's Rules of Order. Like, in order to do my job, it would be nice to have this educational opportunity, or running effective meetings. And so it's been nice to be able to know where to focus our resources on trainings and providing programming that means something to local people. Then another kind of umbrella of my programming is community development, which is really anything and everything. So right now I'm working with an applied economics professor at Madison that we work with on looking at pharmacy closures, especially in rural areas. Because what you don't realize until it's gone is how important having a pharmacy is. Like, and everyone says, well, why can't you just get them through the mail? Well, that's fine if you have something you take on a regular basis, but when you have a sick child and you need some amoxicillin, you need it now. And like, for me, driving 45 minutes to Eau Claire with a sick child to get amoxicillin is not a pleasant experience. So what my colleague did is he's this data guru. So he got all of this data together, and then I've been interviewing local pharmacists about what their experience is, and you know, what sort of policy changes could be made to help pretty much save our rural pharmacies especially. So that's been interesting work. And it's just the paper, we did a paper and he presented it at a conference in Texas, and now I'm doing the virtual conference in June on that paper. So it's kind of opened up a lot of doors, and it's been interesting work. And then I've also worked with some childcare development issues over the last year. I kind of like the school, well, I did a business development course last summer for childcare providers to either start a childcare or stay in business. I also have been partnering with the schools on developing their childcare. So like when Arcadia started theirs, I helped with getting the licensing. And then I sit on the board at the Child Care Resource and Referral Program with Western Dairyland, and because they're in charge of getting those child care businesses started. And then my other kind of main area is natural resources and agriculture, I'd add to that. So I do a lot with agricultural plastics recycling. Actually, statewide, I just got an email from someone in the assembly last week, kind of more in the Crawford County area, that was getting calls from constituents about recycling. So I work all over. I got an email from Australia a couple months ago about recycling plastics, but that's my big program. I have this like research pilot program in Clark County right now that I'm trying to get farmers on board with, but I work with farmers here in Trempealeau County on it too. And then here in Trempealeau County, I have an ongoing water testing program. This is just a copy of the flyer that the Land Management Department put in their newsletter, but people can go down to Dairyland Labs in Arcadia, grab a bottle, test their water, and then they get a report, and they can, if there's any concern, like health concerns, then the health department follows up with them. But if there's just quality concerns, they can talk to me about what that means. And then I had a multi-year water study here in Trempealeau County that just concluded last year, and I'm working to kind of consolidate all that data for that program. And then working with the health department, land management on maybe a new program looking at more water and for like farmers who have multiple housing and migrant workers, yeah. So I'm also working on some farm crisis work. Steve and I in the past had done farm succession planning. I do that programming in Clark County too, and also working on mental health in farm communities. And then we're hosting Farm Tech Days in Clark County this year, so it's a big production for our office. It's like all hands on deck, and that's coming up in July. So been working a lot with them, and then doing some fair stuff in Clark County too. So those are just the highlights. Have any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions for Melissa?
I do. Number one, very good job for what you're doing. And number two, those committee reports you guys have, since I'm virtual, is there any way anybody could get those in my county mailbox up in the main office, please?
Absolutely.
Those reports, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. All right.
That's kind of a great question, Kevin. I'm wondering if, can those be emailed to us now that we have our handy dandy email?
I think they're working on that.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
Yes, we do intend to make sure that you all get copies of them, so,
That'd be nice.
If we can get them ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. Andrea or Jacob? Jacob, it's your turn.
Perfect. So this month, or last month, has been a very busy month for me in Trempealeau County. And so just going over the highlights, I created a specialized need assessment for both Jackson and Trempealeau County for horticulture to determine the priorities in the county. And so this is different from a previous needs assessment because that was more ag related. And so this, I'm sorry I don't have an example, but this looks to distill, more gardening, horticulture, and education basically, and see where the priorities rank in the county. And so I've been trying to get those filled out. I've been doing lots of public outreach, and whenever I go to an outreach event, I've been bringing along the needs assessments and trying to get people to fill those out. So I also created an outreach poster in English and Spanish and distributed them throughout both counties. Monica was very helpful in distributing them in Arcadia and in the Spanish-speaking sections, or the Spanish-speaking businesses in Arcadia. And so I thank her for that. And then, so the biggest thing I did in the event for April was I presented an interactive hands-on transplanting event for the Old Main. It was for the spring thaw in Galesville. And so basically I had people come and learn about different herbs and do a little transplanting event where they could take home multiple herbs. And so I had more than 105 different interactions with these people. And this was, some underserved parts of the community, such as, youth and seniors as well. I think that the next few portions of my line are state-related, where I've been doing some state collaboration. I participate in the statewide weekly horticulture team meetings, where we discuss our plan of work, and then some hot button issues where we can decide to push our programming, like organics and disease management and stuff like that. In addition, I participate in the Wisconsin Horticulture Update weekly Zoom meeting. This basically helps. You get an idea of what's going on in the other counties in the horticulture related fields, whether that's what's going on in phenology, the weather, different events that are going on in the different counties, and then an overall basic itinerary of what's going on in the state. In addition to that, I do the outreach work where I speak. I've spoke with many members of the community about various horticulture updates. I see a lot of questions about what's going on with my lawn, what are wrong with my trees, and so I've been glad to work on that and help work with different home gardeners and homeowners. And then for the last two, I've been tabling a booth at the White House Farmer Market, and so that's been helping me get out my needs assessment as well as interact with the community at a personal level. And so I will be at the Farmers Market every Friday from 3 to 6 if you'd like to come visit me. And then I met with the Whitehall Garden Club this month, and hopefully get to present more to them in the future. And so that is my highlights of Trempealeau County. And sorry for the unplanned interruption.
Does anybody have any questions for Jacob?
Keep up the good work.
Yep, keep up the good work. All right, so who are we moving over to now? Oh, we are going to go to Andrea. Okay, Andrea.
Back to me.
You got it. We're ready.
You were about to tell us why you were a genius.
Yes.
I am a genius, if you haven't realized, no. So I typed up a report and then I left it in Jackson County. So you're gonna get a verbal report. So everyone gets a copy. You just have to remember it.
We can do that.
Just email it later. Oh gosh. Yeah, then I have to type it up again. No, I'm
Yes.
just kidding. I'll do it. So, so we're coming into my busy season. Summer is insane, and I'm already dreading my calendar because of how crazy it's looking. And I told Pat this morning, I'm like, I think I need to take a couple days off, and I'm not quite sure when I'm going to do that. So I'm going to give you guys kind of the highlights of some of the camps I'm doing coming up. For the most part, when I do one, I do two for each county. I would love to be able to just do one for each county, but there is like not the perfect place to do that. And plus, both counties like their autonomy. And I appreciate that, and I can respect that. So I do two. But then I just use the same lesson at both. I recycle it. It's perfect. No one knows. So, yep, I'm going to kind of go over, because some of these things they're programs that come up constantly, and so next year when I give the same report, you'll go, oh yeah, I remember that, or it'll give me an opportunity to educate you guys a little bit on 4-H, because it is its own animal. It literally is. So, to start off, Clover Buds. So, Clover Buds are members that are in K through 2nd grade. They're our youngest members, and they get their very own day camp every summer. I like to give them an opportunity to be a little independent, because this is different from school. They're not going to school with the same person, their same teachers, everything like that. They get to meet new people and do something different. So I love to teach them a little bit of independence, because I always have it where mom's like, Andrea, like, they're a little nervous. They're going to be nervous. I'm going. I'm like, that's okay. We'll be fine. By the time, like 10 minutes later, they forgot that their mom left, and it's a great time. Yeah. So I'm going to, for this one, I just recently went to a training for archery. I'm not certified. We're going to do a shooting sports program eventually. So if any of you want to teach shooting sports, I know we brought it up earlier. I'm looking, like, hit me up. But
You know who can really help you with that is Horticulture.
The Ho-Chunk?
Yes, they have a wonderful program. It's awesome. Check it out. Yeah.
So they have to be 4-H certified, though.
Let me get you a contact.
Okay. Because I would have to work with them. But I'll look into that. So, not to deviate, but I went to a program about archery, and so we had a lot of environmental education stuff that we talked about. I'm not going to lie, my favorite thing that we talked about was how to make turkey calls out of a Dixie cup and some thread, and it sounds like a turkey call, and so I already envisioned a bunch of little kids making turkey call sounds. So I thought it was...
Send me that, because I want to do it. Like,
oh, we'll do it. Well, I'll bring it in one day.
You should send your children to camp.
Yeah, if you send them to camp, I will take them and they will learn.
how old are they? This is for the Clover Buds, right?
Yep.
Okay, they're too old.
I reuse things, it's fine. So that, we're gonna do some environmental stuff, because where I'm hosting both camps is at a park. So Trempealeau counties, which is July 28th, will be at Petrix Park, and then Jackson counties, which is July 7th, will be over at Castle Mound. I have a couple requirements when I do programs at parks. They have to have a bathroom that's close by, preferably not porta potties. I like running water. Well, for obvious reasons, children are messy and they need to wash their hands a lot. Second, at least a storm shelter, because I have had it where I've had programs where I'm like, ooh, the weather's looking a little funky. We need to have a place to go. So that's another one. A playground, because they are little balls of energy, and sometimes we need to just say, hey, go play on the slides. And that's about it. So both of those parks met my requirements, and we're going to do some pretty awesome environmental ed programming. My next camp that I'm doing for both counties is a gardening day camp. I tried to do this last year. I didn't have anyone sign up. Last year was a weird year. Once everything opened up, like, I didn't have as many people enroll in my programming, and I really have no explanation beyond, like, T-ball started up also, and so kids were going 6 days a week to T-ball practice, and they had no time to do any 4-H stuff, which I'm okay with, but also I was really sad because I had some awesome ideas. So I'm actually partnering with Jacob to do the gardening day camp. We're going to talk about pollinators and planting and stuff like that, and because my background is in ag education, so, like, if I can get kids to do ag stuff, they're going to do ag stuff, but they're also not going to know that they're doing ag stuff. That's kind of my whole intention, because really ag is just applied biology in the end. But I have both of those planned for Trempealeau County in June 23rd, and then Jackson County on June 29th. All of my camps here in Trempealeau County are at Petrix because it's easy, it's a good location, I've got everything there, and plus I can walk down to land management and say, hey, Becky, can I use the park? And she says, okay. Next, I don't do as much with the fair, but the fair takes up a week of my time. So I typically go to be the face, to say, hello, I'm Andrea. I meet with a lot of 4-H'ers there because it is, people say it's the biggest 4-H event of the year. 4-H participates in the fair, but we are not the fair. So I like to at least go and see how members are doing, but also I'm planning on doing some programming there this year. My intent is to do like an action center, which will have similar activities to what we'll be doing at camp. It'll give kids an opportunity to do something free because, well, you know, fair costs money. You got to buy those ride tickets, and those aren't cheap. So we're going to do some fun hands-on activities there. I need to talk to the fair board on where I can possibly have that happen. And then that, and I also will do like the Little Miss, Little Mister. That is 4-H. I'm trying to think of what else. I can't think of it right now, but I do a lot of prep for it. I try not to do too much. I'm mainly just there, to be a face, and to be extension. Next, we've got camp. We're only doing a day camp this year. We were previously, I think I've mentioned it a little bit, we were previously using a different camp facility. They were going to charge us a lot of money this year. We decided that that wasn't worth our time, so we're forming a new relationship with the YMCA Camp Pepin. So that's right on Highway 35 between Stockholm and Pepin. Awesome facility. Like, did you guys go to camp growing up? They have zip lines. They are on the river. They have paddle boards, kayaks, canoes. Like, I live for camp, and this is like my dream camp. So we're gonna have a lot of fun.
I like it.
So this is 3rd through 6th grade for the younger camp, and then I normally focus on the older kids, which is 7th through 8th grade. And so we do this in partnership with Buffalo, Pepin, Pierce, and then Jackson and Trempealeau. But, I mean, that keeps costs a little lower. We're able to get a bunch of different kids. It's awesome. So I'm stoked for camp. That's August 17th for one day, and then next year, once we get in, because they do normally like residential camps all year. We're going to get in earlier in their season, which will be in June sometime, and then we'll be able to do a 3-day camp like we normally do. So camp isn't going away. We had to pivot like everything else. So then some other programs that I'll be doing this summer, I'm making some partnerships with local libraries so I can do some library programming. That way I already have a captive audience. I can talk about 4-H, stuff like that. And plus I like partnering with libraries because they're an underutilized source in our county. I'm also doing the Independence After School Project, or After School Program, reached out to me, and so I'll be doing some STEM education with them for their 4-week program, which I'm super excited about because, once again, it's an audience I don't have to create. I don't have to make the registration. I just show up with my stuff. Another thing that I have on here that I'm finished with, but it's kind of in conjunction with the fairs, is YQCA, which is Youth for the Quality Care of Animals. So this is where my ag education comes in. Is to show at either fair, especially if you want to take any sort of animal or sell them, you have to take YQCA. And so this is essentially to make sure that you're treating your animal right. Are you taking care of it? Have you touched it today? Which sounds very silly, but I literally go to this program and I say, hey, like, you should not just be walking out to the bar and say, yeah, my pig's alive, and then walk away. I'm like, you got to go out there, you got to talk to it, you have to create a relationship with it. I showed just about any type of animal growing up. We show dairy goats right now. I actually was at a show this weekend. So I'm like, I know what it takes to do this. You can't just show up at the fair and expect it to happen. Because I literally can walk into a barn and I can point out which children have not touched their animals because their parents were doing it. You can see it. So
I like it when they blame their parent for something that goes wrong with their fair exhibit.
Exactly.
Oh, my dad picked the wrong corn for this exhibit.
My dad wasn't touching my pig this year. What the heck? So I already held those sessions for each county, and then Chippewa County actually asked me to help because you have to be certified. The only people who can teach YQCA are extension educators, so truly anyone in this room could teach it. ag education teachers, so at high schools, or veterinarians, and typically veterinarians don't have time to teach it, but those are the options. But that's something that I like to do, and I got quite a few kids trained this year, and so they'll be able to show their animals at the fair safely, because that's our main thing.
Dairy animals too?
Yes, so if they want to sell a dairy basket at the Trempealeau County Fair, they have to take
So if
this.
it's just for the selling portion,
Trempealeau County has it that is for the selling portion. It depends on the fair.
so if you're showing just like a dairy animal, you don't have to take the class? Okay.
They mainly have it for the livestock. In Jackson County, it's essentially anyone who's taking an animal to the fair has to take it.
Okay.
I don't make the rules, I just abide by.
That all makes sense.
Yeah. And then I've got two more things, and then I will hand it over to someone else. So the one I just, once again, something I just finished up on, but I do this quite often, is VIP, so volunteers in preparation. So this is when I'm onboarding new volunteers so that they can work in our program. 4-H takes that very seriously. They have to be mandated reporters. They have to do a criminal background check, and they have to do an in-person training with me. And now they have to do Title IX training. And if they want to do anything like chaperone-wise, they have to take youth mental health. So that's like recognizing children in stress and whether or not they might have some issues staying overnight. So the VIP portion is something that I teach. I typically teach it twice a month, and I have at least 1 to 3 people at each session. And I only teach that from September to May because naturally I do not have time in the summer. And so I try to make sure that I can focus more on like youth programming. And then in the winter, when for the most part people are less busy, they can find time during the week to come to my session. I was going to figure out how many people I trained this year because I feel like I trained a lot, but I didn't have time to do that. I would say at least 6 people in the county this year, which is a lot. Normally I get like maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it hard to get the people there because they got to do so much to become a volunteer? You know what I'm saying? Volunteers are tough.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
to start adding all that stuff to it, I'd think it'd be hard to get a volunteer in there to help out.
It is once in a while, but I like to say that we're just trying to make sure that our kids are safe.
Absolutely, I agree with
This,
you.
like, I don't want to speak ill of like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or anything like that, but I know that we do things differently in Extension and 4-H, and it is a different process. But our whole end goal is to make sure that our child, I can take any child to a 4-H event and have an adult there who knows, like, can recognize, like, if they're in distress, or recognize that they might not be in a good home life situation and they can report it. Or if something happens and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, wait, we have to go to the emergency room, what do I do? They've already been trained on that. So I just have to wait by my phone and hope that someone calls me and says, Andrea, this happened, but we took care of it, but here's the incident report. So that's all stuff that we cover in VIP.
Could there be a level of, I'm just throwing it out there, where a person's trained, but then you have like a secondary volunteer that's not trained in it, but they can help out, but always have to be around that trained person for, say, just to, I'm just throwing it out just to get those extra volunteers that don't have the time to do all that, but they can be with somebody that has done it. Just a thought.
Nope, and that is. So if you're ever going to have a in-person event with youth, there has to at least be one person who's VIP certified. Any other adult they're
Help out.
okay.
Perfect.
But as long as, we'll talk about ratios like that in the sessions. And if something happens where that certified adult has to leave, then that's not okay. Because not that I can't trust other adults,
Right, yeah,
but we don't have someone else who is trained.
Absolutely.
But either way, we've got quite a few people trained now.
Good.
And I reached out to another club leader who she had contacted me after I taught my last training, and so for the most part, if someone needs to be trained, I will train them. It's a 2-hour training, but I've gotten it down to an hour, and so I value my volunteers' time. I don't want to spend more time with them than I have to. Not for any other reason than we are all busy. So, no, those are great points. And then lastly, it's heavy on my mind because we're doing a session tonight, but Juntos, we're working on starting up a 4-H club here in Trempealeau County for the Hispanic population. And so Juntos is together in Spanish, and it's really going to focus on it's mainly, it's like a subset of what Adam and Monica are doing, but there's a club form. I'm going to totally butcher this. So it's really about like the education system, how to succeed in our education system here in the U.S., but then also how to make sure that we can go on to school. What does it take to be a tech school student? What are educational options for us even if we are illegal or undocumented?
Andrea, I just want to add something, and also we focus on how bound with their parents and students. It's not just the students; it's just parents and students. That's the important part of the Juntos program. They get to know together what they can do together in order to succeed and have a career, know about colleges and all that stuff.
I was going to say that, but thank
Sorry?
you, Monica.
I just wanted to add.
She is our Juntos coordinator, so that is her job to know what Juntos is.
Awesome. That's great. That's great.
You embody it, Monica. So tonight we're working on doing a monthly session, and we're going to do pot painting. So if you guys have walked by our office at all and you saw all the terracotta pots, you also don't see the 5 bags of potting soil that I have and the 9 flats of pansies that I have at Ritter's right now. I've been like hoarding potting stuff for the past couple of weeks because we're going to go over how to plant pots or how to paint pots and then how to plant them. We're going to talk a little bit about mental health. Really what we're doing that the parents probably don't know is we're kind of showing what a 4-H club can be and what you can do with the 4-H program so that we can hopefully find some parents who will want to volunteer and take on this role so that I can then train them in VIP and everything like that. So actually, Jacob is helping us with that tonight as well because naturally we have to pull in the plant person to talk about plants. So yeah, we're going to do something like that once a month, and that that's mainly what my summer is going to look like for now until August.
How are we getting the information out to the people for this?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how many people are signed up already for this?
For Juntos, we don't have a sign up for it tonight. It was mainly word of mouth. So we have some Spanish and English posters that Monica distributed around Arcadia. And a lot of it is word of mouth. Like after they finished up their session, they're like, do you guys want to continue doing something? Would you like to continue meeting? And so we do have a group of people who is interested.
Good.
And so we're going to see. But
We also I help out with making phone calls to prior people that they were in this program before. Also, we distributed in elementary, middle school, all the families around, hang posters and send flyers. I mean, we know that a lot of people is gonna show up today.
yeah. Yeah, so I have 100 worth of everything upstairs, which it's a lot, but we're excited about it. So.
And I'm guessing this is going to be open to anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, because really learning about the education system, everyone needs to know.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
But yeah, any other questions for my long laundry list? No? Awesome.
All right.
I will just share briefly Steve's report. His wife has flu, and so they're doing some things, and he had some stuff he had to do this morning. So she's been successfully battling cancer, so he's mostly back to us. Doc knows about this. But there are still times when it's like family first. He did include a report, and this is longer, it's got some pictures, and he really is talking a lot about sort of the research process. In addition to the outreach education that our educators do, they also do applied on-farm or on-facility research, and he is participating in 2 projects. One is a corn nitrogen plot. Part of a statewide research project in partnership with Discovery Farms and then some other state universities, and they're looking at how to get maximum return to nitrogen. Don't just pour on fertilizer because you want to pour on fertilizer. It's really trying to maximize that so you get the best increase in production with the least loss of the nitrogen. With nitrogen, where it goes is it either goes up in the air or it goes in the groundwater. So if you're from the southern end of the county, you know how high those nitrate levels can get. I can tell you it's not good. So he actually talks about that. And this is, gosh, does anybody remember his third or fourth year doing this? At least. So that's ongoing. And one of his new ones, which is more applied, is a research plot in Jackson County looking at alfalfa establishment, looking at intercropping to get a better establishment. And they're doing it on an organic farm. But, you know, the principles are the same. So he's got some cool pictures. He's actually got some seeds coming up. I'm amazed. And he'll be working with Erin Silva, who's our organic cropping specialist. And she has been a real good partner of ours. So we're glad when she can come up. And the other thing that he has been doing, I did not realize this position had been open for 20 years. For 20 years, the state of Wisconsin, UW-Madison, has been looking for a swine specialist, somebody to handle the piggies. We're 16th in the nation for hog production. We need a swine specialist. And I've been in a long time, so I've been watching them doing all the different things that they do to try and, cover that. But he's on the interview team, and towards the end of the month, they'll be having final interviews. So cross your fingers, we'll get a swine specialist.
But Steve will, if somebody has a swine question and there's no specialist, Steve will find somebody at the university in CALS, or anything really specific or intricate. He figures out who he needs to talk to get information. So it's about time there's somebody more accessible.
Yeah, and that's what we do. It's like if we don't know the answer, and how could we possibly know the answer if you've seen some of the questions we get?
How to make Rice Krispie bars. Kid you not. And once I got a handwritten letter, I found some shelf paper. It was really pretty. Can you help me find more?
So one of our skills is finding somebody who can answer the questions. So he's very good at that, and he also raises swine himself, so he has a lot of experience. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he can. Do you have any questions?
Why 20 years?
I have
I don't
no
understand that.
idea.
You're getting the paper
Oh, you're talking
Well, they
about
gotta have 20
state.
years of experience to get on to
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
that's why it's been 20 years.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's right,
Makes
you
sense.
know.
Do we have candidates for the position?
Yeah, because they are
Oh.
going to final interviews, so.
Good.
But I honestly had not realized it had been open for 20 years. I'm just
Wow.
sitting there going,
Wow.
yeah. And we only have one poultry specialist for a state, particularly this part of the state that raises so many
Yeah.
poultry, so much poultry. Yeah. So it's interesting how people set priorities. But I am turning this over to the FoodWise team.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm April again. So FoodWise is kind of in our own bubble, as we say, because we're not county or state funder. We have federal funding through the USDA SNAP Ed dollars. And so we're fortunate enough to be under an Extension's umbrella and be housed here. So unlike our colleagues, this is wrapping up our busiest season. Our school year is our busy time. And we have both Jackson and Trempealeau. I mainly oversee the education in Jackson County, and Sandy oversees Trempealeau. And I'm actually going to let her start with her report, and then we'll flip back to what I've been doing.
Yeah, thanks. We're finishing up. Today's one of my last 6th grade lessons, and we got a couple more food pantries to go here yet this summer. I did take a visit out to the Trempealeau County Food Pantry, and Dave McRae does an awesome job out there. And they distribute the commodity, what we used to call the commodity foods. It's got a different term, emergency food fund right now. But it's the government has so much food, and then they send it to the state, and the state just, every county gets so much. And they're serving about 220 households, and there may be up to 500 people all told being served by that facility. So they are doing great, and Dave's anticipating more, because as the cost of food goes up, your food stamps go less far, and everything else, the price of gas goes up pretty soon. You can't, you can cut back on food and get free. They get like humongous amounts of food and meats out there. It's a really good program if you know of anyone in need. They run the third Saturday, and they are open like all day, so it's really accessible to our community. I also work with the Arcadia Food Pantry and other food pantries in the area, helping advertise, get the word out, keep our websites updated. So I'm finishing lessons, and my summer plans are to retire. So I got old enough to go off and play with my grandkids all summer, talking about being, spending time with those kids you love.
Yeah.
So they're up in Siren, which is 3 hours away, and I want more time to go up and play with them this summer and do some little trips with them. So, and then we'll hand you back to April, telling you more about what else we're doing.
Yeah, so celebrating, of course, Sandy's time with us and transitioning, figuring out the hiring of a new educator. So that'll all be rolling this summer, and we're hoping to then be hiring mid-August, September timeframe to replace the big shoes that will need to be filled in Sandy's adventure of retirement. So that will take up, a bunch of summertime as well. We did finish up, Adam had talked about partnering with Head Start centers. We as well do that. And so kind of that ready-made audience, which is wonderful. We did our last of our Cooking Matters virtual programming with Head Start. So we had, which is wonderful with the virtual, we had our centers that can come together and meet at one time instead of going to each individual center to do these programs. And we offered it in 2 languages. We didn't have anyone sign up for the Spanish session this go-round, but it was offered and ready to go. So we finished up that. What was wonderful about that programming was that we had a grant for it where we could send groceries home with the family of the recipes that we featured, so then they could make it with their family with the skills that we taught during that lesson. So kind of sad to see that grant coming to an end, but we still get to use the curriculum, which is the good piece of that. Our fiscal year is a little different than the extension calendar year. Our programming is October 1st to the end of September. So in the spring is always our time to reflect on that, redo our budgets, look at partnerships, put all of that together in a big Excel spreadsheet, and then we send that to the state. And then we do our bunches of revisions. I hopefully did my last round of revisions this last Friday, submitted that off, and so I just wait for the approval. We did have a little bit of a cut for this year, but it all panned out, and we seem to be okay with how that will play out. I myself am taking a 60% appointment for the summer months. It's a lower programming time for us, and so I've decided to ask for that reduced appointment. So from June until the end of August, I'll be at a 60% position. So I'll do 2 unpaid days during my week, and Pat will be up to date on my schedule as far as where I am and what I'm going to be doing. I anticipate a lot of time here in Trempealeau to get ready for the retirement and new hire. So that's what's upcoming for us.
Anybody have any questions for April? All right. Is there anybody left to ask questions to?
That's a lot.
We're good?
We're ready for the last agenda item, 7.
Where am I at? Thank you. All right, I want to just add something. We had a meeting, of course, last night, and there is just there's some money there, and I suggest maybe everybody looking at the opportunity. Of course, money ain't going to go to everybody, but there's some money for opioid that's been put out there. So there's a lot of guidelines, but there's a whole book of what can be, what the money can be used for, and the more options that we have as supervisors, the more we can take a look at everybody's needs and say, where can this money go to help out our programs? So there's a lot of stuff that's there. So I suggest maybe taking a look at that and maybe have an opportunity there to get some funding for your area. I mean, like I said, not everybody's going to have that opportunity, but it's there. So go ahead.
Where can we find more information about that?
As more information comes out. So right now, the money has been basically, it's there, it ain't there, but it's been approved. It's, yes, we're gonna get some. We're gonna, and that's only a few companies that have offered this so far. The money can be paid out from 7 years all the way up to like 18 years, something like that. An extended time, depends on what we do with it. But it's just one of those things where once we get more information on it, we'll be able to give it to all the departments so they can take a look at it. So, because that's the more that we can give back to us, the more we can say, this is a good program we can do, this is a great program, kind of a thing, so we can kind of figure that out. Again, it's only 5 businesses or companies that came up and said, yep, we're gonna go ahead and give some money out to the settlement and stuff, so.
To get the information, talk to Rick Niedermeyer, Copal Council. He's got a 20-page packet that will tell you what you can use it on. Right now, he's got it, and yes, there was 5 companies that settled, but this is not done. There might be, there's other companies yet that haven't settled with it. It might go to court, who knows? But these are the 5, so there will be some money coming towards us for that opioid.
Yeah, so it's just, even if you put something together, take a look at that pamphlet, put something together, at least it's gonna be ready for when we do get the money, then we can maybe look at all of it. I mean, I don't want any department to be left out if it's possibility to put something in for it. That's how I look at it, so.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we need to discuss the monthly committee meeting for day change, revisiting on this meeting here, so.
I know that we have people who work during the day. I know that we have people who are more comfortable, meeting during the day. So I wanted to come up with a meeting schedule that worked for all the committee members. Our staff is salaried, so they work when they need to work. So they're going to be out tonight working. So you don't need to pay attention to that. Some of the questions are like, we have been for the past almost 2 years doing the meetings virtual, with a virtual option. And I want to keep that up, whether we do it during the day or during the night. I don't know what the staffing arrangements are to show the meetings on the station at night. But the goal is to make the meetings accessible for the committee members. That's what's critical. So we need to make sure that we're meeting at times that work for everybody. The other thing that came up, and this is there is nothing in the rules on the county board that say your committee has to meet monthly. It should meet when it needs to meet. So it's, one of the questions is, do you feel the need to meet monthly? Or would bi-monthly be more appropriate? Keep in mind, we can have a meeting when we need to have a meeting. So if something comes up and we need to meet, we can set it. But Andy, why don't you lead on the discussion and see what people think?
Does you guys have any idea what your
comment would be that maybe we should meet like next month so we get a little better feel with everybody here.
Okay.
And then I would truly think that we'd want to look at about every other month from being on this committee for maybe at least 4 years, I think. So
Yeah.
we find that we're forcing people to come and tell us the same thing they told us, or find something new to tell us.
Is that okay with the educators? Are you guys be okay with going?
I'll be here if I can. I mean,
Yeah.
With every other month?
Oh, when we've talked about it, that's.
Would it make it easier on your guys' schedule too? Then we're not.
Yep.
Because I think it'd be easier for everybody as well.
Yeah.
I agree with Dick. I think that it's great information, but we did hear a lot of it last time. So I think, in the
So actually, this is, because somebody didn't show up last month, this is the second time. So maybe June wouldn't be it, maybe we should start right out with a July, wait 2
We can
months until
certainly-
July.
What you guys
And
feeling?
and if we did every other month, because I know there's issues with the studio here, so if we had to put 6 days during the year that we had to be here in the morning, it just seems like
Easier?
that's the best, but
I
maybe I'm
think so.
wrong.
No, I'm
I
open
mean,
for
you're just,
anything, to
you're
be
on the
honest with you
county
guys,
board,
when
you're
it comes
just
to
gonna
that.
have to give up a half day or work it somehow.
That works.
So do it
And I don't
every
know
other
how
month?
You folks feel about that, is that?
Oh, yeah.
Better to do it in the mornings.
I will show up if it's on my calendar. That's mainly my thing.
Yeah, and that's the other benefit of maintaining the virtual connection is that sometimes people are in another office or they're having to work at home or whatever, but they can still meet.
Or for instance, this afternoon, the Jackson County Committee meeting is happening at 1. I have a program at 1, so that of course happens. But if it's, like what Jacob's doing, if we can do virtual or
Yeah.
however works, that's great. But every other month is good.
I don't want to close down the virtual stuff because of circumstances, life changes, throws curveballs. We need to keep that open to everybody
Right.
for anything like that. We don't want to close that down at all.
Okay. So I'm about to do a thing that chairs do,
Okay.
which is to summarize the discussion. So it sounds like.
Can I
we're-
throw one more thing in there?
Sure.
Maybe you're gonna go there. So we would just say it's gonna be the third Thursday, or is that what you're thinking? Or you know what I mean? So they would know already it would be,
Just the days, yeah.
Yeah.
The days.
Third Thursday on the.
I just used that, I don't know if that's the right
is-
one. Maybe it's the third Tuesday, maybe it's the third Wednesday, I don't know.
Well, the third Tuesday would be, in general, the day after your county board meeting. Does
Okay.
that, in general, work for people?
Works for me.
All right. So how about the third Thursday on odd months?
Thursday or Tuesday?
Tuesday, third
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday, thank you. Third Tuesday, odd months, which would make our next meeting
July 19th,
July 19th,
July 19th, at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Does that work for everybody? Yes, absolutely.
So,
Lots of people will be gone, but that's okay, because I can,
well, one possibility here with the July 19th is possibly, well, I don't know if we'd be able to, as far as recording goes, but a number of our educators, that'll be the first day of our science camp. So it could be that you all meet out there if that meets open meeting law requirements.
it would. We could meet it at Petrick.
I would love that.
You could see us in our natural habitat.
I would love that.
I like that idea.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we would meet, so here's a summary. We're going to meet every other month. We'll do the odd months, third Tuesday, 9 a.m.
I think that's great.
Love it.
Okay?
That's the plan.
And then you just.
All right. Anybody have anything else to add before we adjourn our meeting? Go ahead, Adam.
One other option is I've really appreciated the input that all of you have made about kind of upcoming programs and different things like that. Every 2 months may not necessarily kind of, things may come and go in that time. If you all are interested, one other option available to you is to, we could still give monthly reports or something like that. Or if you wanted to provide us with focus areas, there's lots of different options outside of the meeting to engage with us at all times.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I would love a monthly report.
Yep. Plus also,
Just throw it through our emails.
yeah, that'd be
Because
wonderful.
we can read them. That way we're not having to sit here and take up your guys' time.
Right.
Yep.
Just email
And
them.
we can read them.
To echo that, I have added everyone here. Everyone on the county board is added to my newsletter list. You might have to check your spam, but you'll get everything that's happening in 4-H. I would think that could be my monthly report, because you're literally seeing from now until December what we're doing, or what we're doing.
That's awesome. Then we can in turn respond to you guys if we have anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am, before Andy adjourns us, because we have our next meeting date set, I'm going to ask for the blue folders back, and Doc's going to give me minutes.
You need to approve, like, a motion and all that stuff for the date change, or no?
No,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody second that in the motion? All right, we're adjourned as of 10:16 a.m. Thanks, you guys.
that.